right, are we live? I believe we're live. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone. What is today? It's Thursday, September 11th. And yeah, let's do some trading. I think today, for me in particular, Thursdays statistically are my greenest day. So I'm pretty excited for Thursdays. I'm not going to let that get to my head because you shouldn't. If you get overconfident, you're just going to start losing trades. So what we have for today is we got 4 minutes until the open at 9:30, and we already had news at 8:30. I hear this this monstrous little wiki candle, and that was, what is today? Thursday. So that was CPI and unemployment here for this candle, which was let's take a look at it. 500 tick candle, 1 minute candle. And that news event took out London low and Asia low, so it took out liquidity to sell side. I was actually relatively bearish on the day until I saw this reaction here. And that's kind of making me lean a little more bullish. If we look at the higher time frames, you can see this 1 hour candle closure here is quite bullish. This 4 hour candle here is currently looking bullish. Doesn't mean it will stay that way. And then the 15-minute here is looking bullish as well. However, given that liquidity was already taken, external liquidity was taken here, this red line right here, and price rejected off of this gray box, this fair value gap. I don't have tons of confidence that it's going to just like blast through here into the final target up here where the magnet is. Instead, I'm kind of wondering if price is now between PD arrays, if it might get a little choppy. So going to be a little careful walking in today with more of a neutral bias than anything, with a neutral bias leaning a little bearish. Oh, looks like price is moving pre-open. So let's take a look here at the 1 minute. Coming up for the news high right here. We have 2 minutes until open, so let's see what happens. Have some relative equal lows right down in here, locally. This is a bit of a, looking like a bit of an accumulation range pre-9:30. I like to see that. I like to see price just generating liquidity. And locally, so on the lower time frame, the 1 minute chart here, this is looking kind of bearish to me. With this liquidity, this trend line liquidity is being generated, this equal highs and lows. So it could possibly, for the open, take this liquidity and run down. Which would be more or less against my overall bias, but I guess my overall bias was more neutral than anything, but that still leaves some room for some bearishness. So what do we do when we have a bit of a mixed bias? Well, we either do one of two things. We sit on our hands and don't do anything, and we wait for something to become clearer, or the other thing I sometimes do is I go in with lower risk on a trade. Because, you know, there's many a times where my bias is off. A really good looking setup presents itself, and I just sit on the sidelines all morning because I was off with my bias. So I'm not afraid to take a trade opposite of my bias as long as it's perfect, as long as it looks good. So there we go. We got the open at 9:30. So what do we have here? We have the midnight opening price, which is the blue line. Price is kind of been bouncing off it all morning, so we're going higher here, and oh, look at that. We have the regular trading hours gap below. So I see it's possible. Liquidity sweep, or continuation. But I'm also not totally confident in that, given on the higher time frame, price is looking looking like it's in between PD arrays. Well, not looking, it is between PD levels. So yeah, we'll just see. I don't know. I'm going to turn on, or just as a reminder, not that one. I like this one. Just as a reminder for myself, I like seeing the macros on the screen. I wish I could modify the indicator to make these a little less obtrusive. Like they don't need to be that big of a box. See, that just removes them. Style, boxes, pane, lines, tabs. Well, that's as simple as it's going to get, short of, I guess I could make the boxes a little less obtrusive with color, but I'm not going to do that here on the stream. So far for 930, we're seeing one-sided delivery, one stage delivery for 930. The Judas, you know, the stop punt could have been down here. So 930 looking for continuation. That's actually, you know, I got some notes here I want to pull up. Move them over. Which screen are y'all on? Y'all on that screen. I'm going to move it over here so I'm not obtrusive, getting in the way of the chart here. Candles are going off the chart. Just want to look up something from one of my mentors. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking here is just confirming it's possible 830 was the smart money reversal with this kind of manipulation down into a higher time frame level. So that increases the odds that the 930 will be a continuation. And what I typically like to see it at 930, so the blue line here is 930 open. I like to see price accumulate, manipulate, and distribute kind of thing. And if we look at this line, and I'll make it blue so it's easier to see maybe, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, that already happened. Actually happened, the Judas to the top side, fake out, manipulation, and manipulation to the downside. So here we can kind of expect some kind of continuation, possibly accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Which means that 930, even though it's got some nice juicy equal lows and trendline liquidity, 930 just might leave it alone. Yo, Wild Bears, what's up, my brother? Let's go. How are you doing today, man? How's your week been? I think I've taken one partial trade this whole week. So I've been mostly sidelined, mostly getting back into the groove after taking like that 2 weeks off. But let me know, man, how have you been? So getting some deep retracements in these candlesticks here. We can see some large tails, large wicks. Not really wanting to move at the moment. The movement was happening prior to 930, and then now what we're getting is we're getting a little bit of a miniature range. Am I just being a... There we go. I'm like, what's going on? Where is the color tool? Apparently I haven't had enough coffee, so we'll consider this our little mini range. Just thinking ahead here, if I were to want to short, what it would look like. Zooming up to the higher time frames. This zone here is kind of where I was concerned about, but we're between the consequent encroachment of this candle's wick, consequent encroachment of this fair value gap. So it's a nice place to reject from, but is it is this the high of the week, right? Or was this the high of the week on Wednesday? Is that what this is looking like? Maybe. Holy moly, I'm not even looking over here, and look what happened. So I'm not this. Well, quote, shoot, this is kind of crossing the boundary of in between my rules. Bye, 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 he says. Because I'm not going to take trades in this macro. But one thing I was noticing in the charts lately is if 920 to 940 made a nice looking breaker and inversion just like this, where we get a series of like 10 to 20 candlesticks, those ones seem to hit better than if if the 932 934 made the breaker with like 3 or 4 candlesticks. Those didn't hit. And I just had printed out something to like look at my rules and see if I wanted to take these trades like this one when in this macro, but I'm not. That's questionable when it comes to following my rules. Also, prices between PD arrays right now, and that is one of my rules. What exactly is the rule? I don't remember. Was it no trade? Or was it reduce risk? Rules, smools. I know, right, wild berries? Just full port it, huh? I think the big thing I'm noticing is I feel like I want to take a trade because it's been so long, like 2 weeks away from the charts, and then now this entire week has been so slow that I'm noticing that feeling. What's that, 2R? So I'll have to note this here for my journaling. I want to figure out what I want to do with the model when it looks like that. First presented fair value gap coming in here at 936. Buy side was taken, the news high. In this whole situation, I am more bullish than bearish. That's the other part of it too. With that 1 hour candle prior to this current hour, that's a nice stop hunt that just happened at 8:30. You long wild berries? Here I would have done probably something like that. So let's make this more accurate to what I would have done. Oh, you took an L, brother? Oh, man. Happens. You wanted the consequent encroachment of the order block on the 5-minute of OB FFG 5 minutes. Gotcha. Yeah, man. Second attempt incoming. I agree with you overall on the long. Although the 4 hours not looking too good, in my opinion. Not that that matters. All right, so target acquired, pretty much by. Well, that's funny. What would have been like? Would that have taken it if the TP was there? So that's cool. Feels good to tape read something, and as I'm getting back into the groove here. One question I ask myself is, what trader's showing up this morning? And I ask that question because I look back later and I go, how did I perceive the market, and what trader traded the market? You know, so it's a psychological question, wondering, did you show up anxious? Did you show up thinking price is garbage? What did you show up thinking? And I know today, this whole week, I've showed up feeling apprehensive a bit, as if I don't know what I'm doing. And that's a byproduct of taking 2 weeks off, I feel like. I've been gun shy to pull the trigger. It has been a little bit more of a dicey week, so it's been a bit of a good thing to be more conservative. And then I think also for today, you know, what trader is showing up for me. Feeling a little, I don't quite have the word for it. Out of sorts, I guess, today. With everything that happened yesterday, I feel like history just changed, or what we witnessed yesterday. History, it will go down in history as significant of a moment as 9/11, MLK, JFK. And so the world feels different to me today. I don't know if any of you feel that. So part of me showed up today. I didn't even want to stream. I didn't want to trade, but I had taken so much time off that I wanted to at least show up to the charts, log in, and maybe something looked perfect. Maybe something felt right, and I would take it. So just noting that out loud here. Wildberries 9-8 is a tough week for you. Yeah, a lot of traders are saying that. I saw like Lanto was saying it was one of his worst weeks this year, I think. Number of traders were taking hard hits this week. I saw a lot of red on the people that were honest, showing their accounts. And maybe that's in part why I've been more sidelined. I've just been looking at this week and I'm like, man, none of this looks great. But I've also missed a couple of setups. One of my mentors, Hydra, he's he appears, I'm not in his mentorship anymore, but he appeared to have killed it this week. So what now? What now? We have 15 minutes left on this 1 hour and 4 hour candle. So target acquired officially. Go figure. So I need to journal this. This is exactly what I was saying earlier. When my model forms like this at 9:30 and it looks perfect, like this does look This looks like a beauty right here. Pull off the SMT indicator. Like, look at that, it's beautiful. So curious to see equal lows were taken. We're below the first presented fair value gap. Regular trading hours, consequent encroachment has been reached right here. Going back over here to this chart. I have no problem with price coming down into the wick here and still being overall bullish. But I really don't like this constant rejection from this fair value gap from that perspective. Really does make me feel a little more like this drawing right here, getting this like this sideways. Is it just going to be this for the rest of the week? I've seen, you know, when it does this, and I've seen this a lot in back testing where like I have these really crappy weeks and I go back and it looks exactly like this. The 4 hour and the 1 hour are just stuck between PD arrays, sometimes even the daily, and it's just back and forth in this consolidation, not really moving. Now the 15-minute here, still kind of in this accumulation zone. Was that a close below? Like that, I would consider that if it is, it's a 15-minute change in state. Really hard to tell. No, not a close below, but close enough that that's like dicey. Now its price is pushing up pretty high. So looking here at the 5-minute. Tapped into this fair value gap. And now we have this inversion right here. So it's kind of a 5-minute unicorn. I need more coffee. My brain is just not turned on yet. For me, I don't have anything to get in on long here. So we'll go back to the lower time frame. So look at that 2R perfectly came back to the entry. So I'm gonna journal this as a, I don't know what I'll call it, a 9:30 perfect setup. I need to reconsider trading the 9:30 macro because when it looks like this, my data shows my win rate falls to about 40% in this macro, where my win rate outside of this macro is 65%. So that's a significant difference, really. And it's the difference between profitable and unprofitable. Just noting this for later, cleaning up the charts. Coming back and testing the first presented fair value gap. So this here is a 15-minute liquidity sweep. Retest of the midnight open. Consequent encroachment of the regular trading hours gap. Wildberry says he's dialed back even more this week now. This is tough. Yeah, for sure, man. Like the one trade I did take was like a quarter risk or something. So that's smart, man. We got to know when to dial it back because that's the thing that's messed me up the most getting payouts is I'll be doing good and I'll be building up an account And usually for me, it's the week I decide to scale up risk is the week that I should be dialing back risk. I just have had that happen. Call it bad luck or whatnot, and maybe now I've learned my lesson because I haven't had it happen at all, and have found that it's super important that we know when to dial back risk. Wildberry says, I did think I had a nice soup entry twice, but the second being to me. What time was that candle you got in on? And yeah, that's the tough part about trading, man. Like I was saying earlier, in my experience, I took the 2 weeks off. 1 week was Jackson Hole, which cool. We don't want to really be messing around too much on that week. And then the week after Jackson Hole was really nice, but my family and I were off on vacation. And then I come back this week, and or was it last week even? I am losing. I don't know if you all feel this, but the older I get, the more I lose track of time. Because I got back last week, but I didn't really even trade last week at all for a variety of different reasons. And so this is my first week back, and now this week has just been dicey. So now it's like 3 weeks or something that I've hardly traded, and it's taking a lot for me to hold back and not just want to be like, oh, let's get in, let's go, and that's hard. That's one of the hard parts about trading is that self-control. 937, and again we dipped into the 15. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the 937 candle. Where is it? Yeah, right there. It's feeling very, very seek and destroy. Yeah, man. So what do we got? We got our opening range here to here so far. Blue. Blue. And look at that, the first presented fair value gap just flipped. Confirmed close above that. Take off these macros. We don't really need them. And so this here is actually, this is a, let's look for some SMT. So we have a 15-minute consecutive candle SMT, or no, 15-minute low with YM SMT. Time is that? That is confirmed. But looking around here, so the 5-minute is starting to look a little bit like a kind of an upward seek and destroy. 15-minute is a sideways consolidation so far. I like it better if the 5 minutes clearly consolidating and the 15-minute looks wicky. Whereas here, it's like you can get tripped up. Like the 1 minute looks nice. The 5-minute looks okay. 15-minute doesn't look good. And then we zoom out a little further, the 1 hour, and we're just bouncing between PD arrays, I would have liked a long down in here, but I wasn't on the charts or awake for the long down in here. I was awake, I just wasn't in front of the charts. The 4 hour, just bouncing between these two fair value gaps. So this took 15-minute liquidity, this current candle we're on. So this, for me, could be a valid long continuation play. Except for I don't have any solid targets. News high was taken. This 4-hour high was taken. That's leaving this 4-hour high. I have this buy side still on the chart. Just to remind myself that this major swing to the left was already taken. So this is more of a minor external liquidity. And then this is major external liquidity. This line up here, this is previous all-time high, previous monthly high, is what this is. And so while this is definitely a target, I'll mark it. Now in hindsight, of course, I see another trade I should have considered potentially. And so I'm gonna note this here, this inversion breaker that I missed. Let's see here. It would have been outside of my macro, but I probably still might have considered it. Because that confirmed the SMT. I was tape reading the short at this time, which is probably why I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm gonna have to journal this too. I'll be bummed if like there were two nice setups today and I didn't take either. So here's the idea. Dang. I don't know, would I have longed into the first presented fair value gap though? I probably would have waited until confirming above it. But I'm also not confident any which way. So I'm just gonna kind of take a look at this from more from a learning perspective. And what'll happen is if today I don't take any trades, then tomorrow's Friday and I'm just not gonna trade probably. Like I really don't like rolling into a Friday is like your first real day or first day you're trading or get a trade and have that be red. I don't like that. That's not enjoyable for some reason, for me at least. It puts a damper on my weekend. So we are in the 950 macro. I didn't see this as a continuation model at the time, but in hindsight, I do see it as a continuation model. Tapped into a 5-minute fair value gap, took 15-minute liquidity. The 1 hour did all the damage down in here, taking all the session lows. Clean this chart up a little bit. But who knows? We shall see. So in this case here, I would have gone break even if I had taken this. I probably wouldn't have taken this first presented fair value gap long because the targets were too close. And what do we have above us? Nothing on this chart. So let's put some levels on. Because we have, yeah, previous high right up there. That's the main target. We got a bunch of SMTs forming, bearish SMTs. Not confirmed, but forming. I feel like thinking back to some of the other times I've taken time away from trading and come back, that the whole first week for me feels more like tape reading than anything. Just remembered the last time that this happened, which is fine, I guess. One of the big things I'm trying to keep in mind is I don't have to trade. I don't have to grow this account. I don't have to do anything. And that's both good and bad. It's good in that I don't push it too hard and tilt and things like that. But it's almost too much conservativeness. And when I get into those modes, I need to recognize that, and I need to be willing to go a little harder. But it's fine. This has been a tough week, and it's my first week back, so maybe it's all fine. So getting a bit of a consolidation here in this 950 macro. Price is kind of just chilling here. Yeah, 15 minutes making zebra stripes. Yeah, Wildberry says, I'm joking about the rules, of course. We know we put up, risk up. Some of us sign a literal paper and we go with it. I know, right? That's a good hack. You know, Wildberries, one of the things, I don't know if you've heard this one or not. I really liked it. Similar to kind of like the signing the paper thing. Where was it? It's not over here. I'm a nerd. I have all my papers printed out. Like my psychology scripts and my lessons for the day, like everything that I needed to keep in mind. And there were two phrases. Here we go. I don't know if you've heard this one that said, when you place a stop loss, assume the money has left the account is a business expense. And also, very similarly, was this perspective shift is your risk is the fee to get into the trade. If you happen to win, great. Otherwise, treat your risk as the fee to play the game. And I've been loving that one. Where I look at it is, if I'm putting up the risk, you just assume it's gone. And then there's no worry that it's like, I'm cool. I know that $400, $200 is leaving my account potentially. Like you're not even potentially, you're just like, it's gone. And if it comes back, great. And I've been liking that. So I don't know if that's of any value to you. But oh yeah, you heard that one too? Yeah. Yeah, it's good, man. You know, I think these little things make the difference. And I think that this group of traders, a number of us, I don't know who will make it and who won't make it. Heck, I might be one of the ones. I don't know where I'm even at in that spectrum. But I think that there's a strong chance that a number of us from these mentors are going to make it. And I think that's important. I think you have to believe you're going to make it, you know? You have to believe, although you have to be delusional almost to think that you're going to make it. And at least that's worked for me in the past. So I'm doing it again, delusionally believing that you're gonna make it big, you know? So yeah, price is still pushing up, closing in on 2R for this trade idea, which would be cool to see in a way, just to be like, oh man, there were two good setups. And then slightly frustrating, of course. One I didn't take, two I missed. I wasn't watching, but just I like documenting these. So yeah, target acquired. So let's just see here. I'm just gonna annotate this. Okay. So what now? I'm really curious to see if it takes this high, what it's gonna do here. So internal, external. All right, I forgot we had a new 1 hour and a new 4 hour candle. So yeah, let's see here. Is it gonna take this liquidity and run back down for more seek and destroy kind of thing? Like this? Boom, boom, boom for the rest of the day? Or what? Let's zoom out a little bit. Is that it? That line's just too dark. Anyway, zooming out here on the 15. So now at this point, I'm more convinced of bullish delivery for the rest of the session. I wasn't very confident earlier. But I also don't have anything to get in on yet, so that ends the 950 to 1010 macro. There's a tiny inversion, a tailless candle. So this is kind of a bit of a breaker after sweeping that liquidity. That's a 1 hour, 4 hour high. I don't know. This just isn't speaking to me either way, very as strongly as I would like it to. Five-minute looks like it wants to roll over. I don't know. Maybe it's time to zoom out even further. So here, looking at the daily chart. Previous day high, previous day low. Bearish compression candle after flipping that fair value gap on Tuesday into an inversion. Come on, there we go. Still bullish on this. Looking at overall at the week, we haven't retested the new week opening gap. We got this liquidity building down in here. Previous all-time high sitting up here at 24,069. We've already taken the previous week's high, apparently. And just all week long, just kind of floating up so far. So here's the weekly charts. YM is ripping for these equal highs. So we have this bullish SMT down here on the weekly. ES is just gone, gone. What are you feeling, wild berries? You think it's going seek and destroy, or you think it's going to be bullish? What vibe are you getting now? So here on the 4-hour, there is this gap currently. I'm anticipating that this is going to get mitigated before it moves on. One minute. So it's liquidity sweep, and we have a change in state of delivery here. Oh, nice. Wildberries just got long. Well, let's go, man. I hope it plays out. So you're looking at this, yeah, the tap into this 5-minute fair value gap, bullish inversion. Nice. 5-minute chart here. Where's NQ needs to catch up to YM and ES. Look at them, man. Look at them. NQ is just doing nothing. ES is ripped since 940. YM is ripped since 930. And NQ currently back in opening range. All right, so we got a 1-minute change in state of delivery. It's aligned with the overall trend. Oops, what did I just delete? After a stop hunt. Little 1-minute SMT down in there. Let's go. Wildberries is long on a continuation here. Lots of wickage, yeah. And the wickage is, yeah, it's on the 5-minute too. Let's see which chart everyone's on over here, yeah. Go over to the 5-minute. Let's, man, my trading view's being a little glitchy. It won't line up perfectly with things. Oh, is this? That's probably why. There we go. There we go, much better. So long off this inversion. Let's go. 15-minute tapped into the 130 ADR right there, perfectly interesting. Let's see, do we have a breaker somewhere? Kind of not really. Like, is that a breaker? It's so huge. I mean, it technically is. Maybe things will be clearer on a different time frame. Yes. Stalling out a little bit. I need to change these chart colors. That's not what I wanted. There we go. There we go. Apply to all. I took away my green candles. And I feel better. I actually do feel better. I was surprised. I didn't think that would actually happen if I would go to black and gray. But I noticed it instantly. Instantly, I just like that feels better. I feel less wigged out for green to rally, and or if I was in a short, you know, obviously green's not what you want to see when you're in a short. Let's look at ES. Just probably, I'm not going to sit here and chart ES. Wow. Look at that. Look at all of this liquidity on ES. Let's look at YM. Man, look at that 4-hour candle. So YM hit all-time highs today and yesterday and Friday, or not Friday, and previous Friday. Wow. All while NQ is not sure what it wants to do. And in the 1 minute's just probably or 1 second. Not quite yet, but I wanted to see. Oh, you're over there, aren't you? Hopefully you haven't been over on the wrong chart this whole time I've been looking. But this 4-hour gap still hasn't been fully mitigated, so we'll see if it wants to leave it and keep going. 15 minutes, still kind of in the same range. And my belly just growled. What does that mean? Do I stop trading and eat breakfast? All right, so we are in the 1020 macro. NQ is just not wanting to move. So what to expect? Let's look around and see. Can't make price move now, can I? So what I want to do is, I guess there's two ways people tend to look at the market. There's the reactive trader and there's the predictive trader. And I don't think either is fully right, at least for me. I like to be predictive, but also reactive. And what I'm struggling with right now, in this moment, is predictively, I'm kind of neutral. So maybe I got to zoom out. We'll do this. We'll look at the 1 hour liquidity sweep into an internal range liquidity. So by that logic, we're going to external range. So draw on liquidity on the 1 hour. Even though there's resistance here, what this tells me is it just might not get there the way I want it to, or as quickly as I want it to. I'll zoom out a little further on the 1 hour. Let's make it big even. So we took this external high, went internal. We've taken this external high, went internal. So for me, I'm going to leave this gap on the chart. Just meaningful is an internal range. Liquidity sweep. Liquidity sweep here. So the draw on liquidity is the same. So that's my predictive trader right there. But my reactive trader earlier is the one that called the short. And that was a nice trade. Wildberries, what is your model? See if I clean this up just a little bit. Really, I guess the model that that's too much shit. Is this right here? My brain is slow today. It's right here. So here was I look for a liquidity sweep of a higher time frame level. I'm not seeing it on the chart exactly, but I usually like a session sweep, London, Asia, or previous day high. That's my preferred liquidity sweep. Sometimes I can go in off of a 1 hour or 4 hour liquidity sweep or fair value gap. And then usually, so I have two different entry models itself. I want the SMT. My early entry is just seeing the inversion. And in this case right here, closed way above this candle. So I would consider this a breaker and an inversion. So I go in on either one, the inversion or the breaker. If this candle would close more like down in here, I would have marketed in and had my stop below the inversion, but not at the swing. That's something I do differently than many people. I don't like the swing for a stop loss. And then I go 2R. Or if I was going in on the breaker, I'd have a little bit larger of a stop loss below, just giving it space to wick below this fair value, this inversion. Same thing, targeting 2R. And then I need to have high probability liquidity, which is going to be a session target, a news target, or equal highs or equal lows. And anyways, if you're interested, that's in the Discord under the trade list. Channel. And this is exactly what I look for. What do you have a consistent model for yourself, Wildberries? Or are you more of a freestyle trader like Friend? ES consolidating and sideways. YM is just kind of floating up. Oh man, wild berries, I wasn't even showing the right screen. I keep doing that this week. That's a bummer. If you're watching, you're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? Quiet, because I'm focused I'm in a soup. Money printer order block. Yep. He's in a soup. A turtle soup. Wildberries, his trade is good now, he says. He's good. Good morning, friends. I miss Master Friend. There we go, getting some movement in the candlesticks. You imagine. Let me see here what. Berries is looking for 24 even. There's your target, huh? Is that right? Oh, you're on the 5 minute. That's why it looks different. Yeah, I bet that tortured you for a little bit. I hate that. Order filled for wild berries. He got a partial. Nice, brother. Congrats. But that feels good. Just put this 24 right there. Oh, are you looking for 994 for your final TP wild berries? Boom, brother. TP, brother, right? There we go. It's not letting me put the berry icon. There we go. Nice. Congrats. Wildberry's got a W. W in the chat. Woo! Love it. So right on. I don't have any. Looking at the chart here, there's nothing I see coming up soon. I'm just not going to have a trade in the next probably a little while. So, yeah. My draw on liquidity is still this 1 hour high. Looks like the 4 hour is leaving this this fair value gap right there. So I'm going to clean, put that there in the right color. Was concerned for a little bit of sideways action on the 4 hour. Doesn't appear that that's happening. I think it's good to take this liquidity up here. 15 minutes starting to move out of this accumulation. That's just ugly though. There's like brutal price action in there. Well, that's not true because I had two setups that would have won had I taken them. So go figure that. Discord update trade. Always clicky, clicky. Let's see, brother. You were busy this morning, my man. Boom. Look at that. I just totally shorted out. I was reading all the notes on your chart. What's pump to 3? What's on your buttons? Which, why are my buttons not there? Oh, that's super weird. Where are my buttons to buy and sell? You had your buttons say pump 3 to 1, or the buy and sell buttons say pump 3 to 1. Look at that. My buttons were not turned on. How did that happen? There we go. There we go. That would have, I wonder how long they've been gone. Wild. Wild. Oh, gotcha. You preload them to buy with a stop loss and a TP. Interesting. Is that new? You're on MNQU. Order presets. Is that what it is? I'll have to look into that more. Right on. Well, stoked you took a W there to Wild Berries. Hope you're green on the day. I think I'm shutting it down for me because I don't think I'm going to have a setup here in the next half hour or an hour. I just don't see it on the charts coming. So I missed my opportunity today, which is okay. I'm not too worried about it. Tomorrow's another day. So yeah, I'll catch you all in the Discord or maybe on a live.